Welcome, beautiful women, to Codes of the Feminine Summit, where we are reclaiming the womb, the body, and the feminine codes. My name is Denise Kennedy, and I'm your host and the creatrix of this event. This gathering is devoted to remembering the wisdom of the feminine, the intelligence of the body, the power of our cyclical nature, the sovereignty of our boundaries, and the deep creative knowing held within the womb space. And today I'm joined by Aletheia Sophia. Welcome, Aletheia. I am so honored to have you with me.
Oh, bless you, Denise. Hello, my lady. So good to see you and link with you in this way.
Beautiful. So, Aletheia, just for anyone who's not familiar with your work, Aletheia Pistis Sophia lives as a vessel of Holy Spiritness of this age, a living chalice for the wisdom, beauty, and wild grace of the indwelling Sophia. Rooted in the Cathar lands of southern France, she stewards Les Contes, a sanctuary of healing waters and animal kinship. She has transformed a forgotten Catholic summer house for children into a living temple, complete with chapel, cafe, animal sanctuary, and an abundance of living waters. She creates and teaches with the Shift Network, with courses that reveal the deep feminine remembrance woven through movement, mystery, water rites, and embodied ceremony. Oh, wow, Aletheia. Wow, how beautiful. So today you're going to talk to us about the mysteries of the rose. And I guess across this summit, we're exploring several codes of the feminine, and today's conversation sits within healing and community. And for me, what feels so beautiful about your work with the rose is it's not in isolation. It opens us up into relationship with the body, with the unseen, and with one another. And I'm just super excited to explore this more with you. So if you're okay, let's begin with the rose herself. So for you, what does it mean to encounter the rose as a living presence rather than a symbol? And I guess for some people, rather than just a rose, a beautiful, smelly rose. And how might someone begin to experience that directly?
Beautiful question, Denise. I think it has to begin with that first big inhale. Yes, she is beautiful to behold, but the intimacy of that which she is offering begins when you take your nose right up close, close your eyes, and just take in her fragrance. Because that fragrance is coming from elsewhere, in between the worlds, if you like, rooted perhaps in our origins. And it's uncompromised, it's uncorrupted. That fragrance is exactly as it should be, despite aeons of traveling to reach our nasal passages. To me, the rose is a presence, it's a teaching, it's certainly a being, it's disguised as a flower, but that's just so that it can be here amongst us. It has thorns for a reason. There are so many shades of rose which can offer a different quality of teaching, different quality of healing, from black to white to red to blue. Yes, I know there's no such thing as a blue rose, but that doesn't mean there's no such thing as blue rose teachings. The one thing I'd like to finish off with here is that back in Roman times, it was known as a cordial, meaning a heart medicine. It really was the one tincture, the one medicine that you would reach for if you were suffering any illness of the heart, from physical to anxiety to mental, to anything that was causing that heart trouble. The Romans would go straight to the rose tinctures. And if I may just add one more little bit, because this is an interesting piece. Ancient day Persia, which is now modern day Iran, covered in rose temples. and the temple would have been surrounded by rose gardens, roses growing on the inside. And what we use now as a baptismal font, when you go into a church and you put your hand in the Holy Spirit and you make the sign of the cross, that would have been lavished to overflowing with rose water. That is the ancient presence of modern day Iran. And for some reason, there's many of us getting this revisit of ancient Persia as something very, very alive and wishing to come through again.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about the healing waters in ancient Persia. So thank you for bringing that in. I love how you touched on so much, Aletheia. I love how you brought in the rose and the thorns. So the thorns are there to protect us, but also the rose is there, as you said, healing and really connected with the heart. And the different colors of the rose, absolutely. I know myself, I connect more with the red rose. That's the one who drew me in. And as you said, it is connecting to her and letting her draw you in through her, her essence, just the smelling, but also when we go through the other roses. When you mentioned the blue rose, actually, I had a question for you. Some people link the blue rose with the teachings of Yeshua, Jesus, and others with Hathor. So I guess from your perspective, what would be the qualities of the blue rose from your perspective?
I think for me, because there's no such thing as a blue rose.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, we can make one, but it's not authentic. For me, the blue rose teachings is gnosis. You can't quite grasp it, but it's happening nevertheless. Those deep, profound knowings where you come out of the experience and the whole world could say, no, that is not true. What you have just experienced is not true. And you would just smile, the most confident and lovely smile, because no matter if the whole world says it's not true, you know it simply is. So for me, if I was to give the blue rose a name, it would be Sophia, but not as goddess, as stream of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue rose it's like what I'm doing now. You just have to allow it to come. But the minute you try to grasp it, look at it, calculate it, qualify it in some way, whew, it's gone. So the best thing you do is just close your eyes and allow it to come.
It to come. I love that linked with gnosis. Your body knows.
Yes.
Your body knows.
Yeah.
And on that, I guess, with your the rose in terms of divine grace and with healing, you mentioned healing the heart and the cordial. So in terms of women disconnected from their bodies and their wombs, how can the rose allow them a pathway back to reconnection, I guess?
Well, the red rose, the color you are wearing, it's a presence of vitality, shakti, passion, exuberance, radiance, dynamic adventure. So that is what the red rose would bring. That might not be what's welcome at first, because it's quite full on. You might need to go a little gentler, perhaps with a soft pink rose, which is one of deep understanding, deep empathy, gentleness, tenderness, and very slow moving. Half step, one little half step at a time. A beautiful practice is to get some rose water, which is very inexpensive. Absolutely lavish it all over your chest. Literally super, super generous. Splash, splash, splash. Go to bed. Now, every time you turn in your bed with your duvet or your sheets, every time you turn over, you're going to get a plume of beautiful rose fragrance to remind you of the healing that it's bringing. You can even go another step further, which is what the folks did in ancient Persia. With the rose water, you then get a complete 2 handfuls of rose petals, stick them on. Once again, go to bed. Yes, a few will fall off and they'll be all over your bed. But this is such an enormous healing for the heart.
Wow.
Oh, it's lovely. Your bed, your sleep is just thick with the presence of rose.
And that's such a pure and high frequency as well.
And easily reachable.
Yeah,
Rose
exactly.
water, very inexpensive rose petals, probably from your own garden.
Mm, mm. And linking with you mentioned Persia again, and with was that a type of ritual? With was the rose used, I guess, in ritual in ancient times and within the rose mysteries, and what role does that play in community, I guess, rose as ritual?
Well, the basins of rose water
Mm-hmm.
at the entrance of every single temple and every single entrance was for you to wash your hands, wash your face, and wash your feet, because you would enter the temple barefoot.
Mm.
Now, if you think about all the people passing through the temple and doing that, really activating the rose water, that fragrance is once again going to be so palpable, so present in every corridor, every entrance, every exit. It just, it's very healing to just simply imagine it. Because what we have now, as I said, is the basin of holy water. When we go into a church, that's the last little remnant of this, washing the hands ceremony whilst entering sacred space. But of course, there's no smell to that.
Mm.
But when you add in a very full to overflowing basin of rose water, with people putting their hands in, rubbing and splashing, so activating the fragrance, it just makes me smile, because it's just, of course it would be this. You could not enter the temple in Persia unless you have done that. Hands, face, feet.
Yeah. And it's a way, I guess, of cleansing yourself before walking into sacred space.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fragrance is enough to alter the mind, the brain activity that you might be in upon entering. It's immediately, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Mm. I love that. With that comes to mind Mother Mary and link to the rose. We have the rosary today, but that's the remnants of the goddess and the rose, correct? Would you like to speak
Absolutely.
into that and explore
Absolutely.
that? Mm.
In pagan times, the rosary was tiny little rose heads threaded. And it was just simply to the goddess, to the divine feminine. And also, again, going back to Rome, just as Rome changed from pagan to early Christian, those little rosaries were also turned into crowns.
Mm.
So whether you would call these ladies pagan or early Christian, there was a lot of garlands being worn at that time, the time of the crossover. And of course, now we see Mother Mary with her crown of roses.
Mm.
So again, the Romans took that imagery
I
and
get
brought it
it.
into, yeah.
Yeah. And that's been our link to the goddess over the years, while the goddess was crushed, but Mother Mary lived on. I know for me, Mother Mary has been very present in my life through my mother and my grandmother. That's the
Mm.
connection I have with Mother Mary and the rose, and which brought me further into this. Um, as well, I recall in Roman times, I can't, is it sub rosa they used to say and I listened to this in one of your transmissions actually.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. So
Yes,
where
so
they used
Rosa.
to go ahead, go ahead.
So Rosa is where you would discuss private, secret things, and whatever you said under the rose, that is your word. That is your testimony. You do not break whatever you said under that rose. So once again, a hint that this is a presence. This is not a flower. This is a presence. I would say a divine presence that has somehow, turned sideways and slipped into our world under the disguise of a flower.
Mm-hmm. Mm,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a living aspect of the heavenly realm, of the divine, of the great feminine. Yeah.
Mhm. So coming into the theme of healing and community, so why is it essential to create and cultivate community? And how is the rose used? I mean, the rose is used in weddings, in processions, etc., etc. So let's explore a bit about healing and community and how the mysteries of the rose are weaved into that. You've touched on much already, but yeah,
Oh
anything you
gosh,
can
she aches. She aches to get into community. Just think of this, if you will. Let's just imagine you were on your way home. You're just about to put your key through your front door, and there's a scattering of rose petals on your steps. What are you going to do? You're going to smile. You're going to smile. Your eyes are going to widen. You're going to look over your shoulder. Who on earth did this? And suddenly you're in some kind of enchantment. That is so effortless to do to one of your neighbors, to one of your friends who you know is having a crisis, having a hard time. Scatter rose petals over their front doorstep, over their car bonnet, over their work desk. It is so effortless, tremendously powerful, and so accessible, so within our fingertips. Back again, ancient times, rose oil, rose water, and rose petals were used lavishly all over sacred space. Stairways, entranceways, altars, corridors, generously scattered with oil, rose, and petals. And that transfigured everything. And I love doing things like that in our modern and everyday world. That's a simple way of bringing the rose into community. And we'll definitely raise some eyebrows and get a conversation going.
beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And you're absolutely right. Rose petals, I mean, who it just goes to everyone's heart, who can't, you
Yeah,
know. But
yes.
and community is so needed today. Community is so needed. I mean, healing in community. There's only so much we can do on this path alone.
Mm.
Yeah.
Another beautiful offering for community is more of a like a black rose teaching. And that would be something like a grief circle.
Mm.
Um, think of dark, I mean, again, no such thing as a black rose. What we're referring to here is those really, really dark burgundy red, almost brown roses. You would create a space for your grief circle. You'd bring in those roses, even if they're old, even if they're, dying. In fact,
Mm.
that's actually better. You'd make your central altar full of these dying dark roses. And you'd bring upon a conversation for the community to share the trouble that's in their heart, to take our time and to be brave and to raise the subjects in which we're truly grieving. And if we can, to not just describe our grief, but to actually show it, to sound it, to bring forth the tears, to bring forth the shaking. There might be rage, there might be lostness, there might be exile, but we actually put our hands on the central table. We can even touch a rose. So it's ceremonial, it's embodied, and we just expose the grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's an edgy ceremony, but by golly, relief is enormous. Kinship is generous. And by golly, it brings such power to those who are seated in the ceremony. It's like an unbreakable bond gets made.
Yeah, even listening to you now, I can feel it in my body and how sacred and personal that kind of ceremony would be.
Yeah.
And so many of us hide our grief, bottle it in.
Yeah.
And you touched there on letting it out, shaking, screaming, and that leads nicely into the somatic belonging. And a lot of your work, you work a lot with somatics, and most of your transmissions, there's an element of somatics.
Yes.
So I guess people gathering in embodied practice and in sacred union. And what does that do to the nervous system?
It's almost like we have to reclaim and take back these very natural, instinctive ways that are within us. That when we join in community, we are given a medicine beyond any pharmaceutical, beyond any prescription any doctor could write. There is such wealth and richness in our being together, especially when we share a joint experience of whether it's celebration or grief ritual or prayer. And these moments of being in this way, I believe, really is the antidote to what we're experiencing right now, with this endless wave after wave of another calamity, another crisis, another war, another pandemic. When we come together, we are given, without even asking, the antidote and the deep rest that can come from being with our fellow brothers and sisters.
Mm. Mm. Oh, I felt that in my body as you were speaking. I could feel, oh.
Yeah.
And I guess,
could I say a little bit more, Denise?
please,
Because you Irish folks, upon which I am half, you Irish folks actually have within your bones, you probably already know this, the presence to hold a grief ritual.
Yeah.
It's just something that you, and may I be a little bit bold and say we, even though I'm only a half, we do this with instinct. We know it's in our bones. So let me give you a few more pieces. Let's just say you've allocated one of your rooms in your house to be the space for the grief ritual. On the entrance into your room, you would have a woman standing on the left and a man on the right. And as the people pass through the entranceway, they'd look at the woman, nod, look deeply into her eyes, and they're nodding because they're saying yes to their female ancestors. So you look at the face of a woman, you look at her eyes, and you're like, yeah, I allow and accept and invite my female ancestors to grieve through me, if that's what's needed. Yeah. Then you turn and you look at the gentleman, you see the male face, the male eyes, and again, acknowledge my male ancestors may come through me tonight as well. So that's quite key. Mm. The central altar, rather than sitting in our chairs talking about our grief, we want to make a movement from our chair to the central altar where the black aged roses are gathered in a vase or petals. And we put our hand on the altar table as we express and emote our real and genuine live grief. And then we will come back to our chair. Now, other folks might be moving around and responding very much to what someone has just said. And that's also really, really welcome. So we're all very available to just let it flow through us without too much blockage.
Yeah.
And then you leave the ceremonial space. You don't talk about it at all in the ceremonial space. You leave it, and then perhaps you go in the kitchen and have a cup of tea.
And that sounds so beautiful and such a sacred way to acknowledge that person who's just passed. And in Ireland, I know, so the keening aspect of it is starting to come back. These old ways are coming back. But bringing in the black roses you mentioned and that ritual of looking in the eyes, that's just so connection.
Yeah. And you want the roses to be droopy.
Yeah.
You know, they're really just like hanging in their vase. Yeah, that's such a poignant image.
Yeah. Yes. So rather than continue to speak about the rose, etc., I know you wanted to guide us into a short contemplative somatic practice. So if you're ready now, Aletheia, I'd love to make the space for you. And yeah.
All right, my dear friends. Well, I am a great devotee of touch. And did you know there is now a neurodiversity known as touch starvation, that we can actually be harmed if we're not being touched. But I have come up with a self-touching practice, which I have found tremendously comforting, and if anything, way better than anything I can possibly imagine from receiving from someone else in this current time. So what I do is this. I take some rose water or some rose oil or any of the essential oils, frankincense, galbanum, spikenard. I warm it up in my hands and I make like a little grail. And I'm very aware that 2 plumes of fragrance are going right up to my nose, right to the top, and coming into contact with the 2 hemispheres of the brain. Now there's a secondary plume going down and coming into contact with 2 lobes of the lungs. So just have this feeling of 1 becoming 2 and 1 becoming 2, as above, so below. So we would take 3 breaths together. Really enjoying the fragrance and almost at times you could say the taste. The fragrance is so alive, so fresh, you can almost taste it on your tongue as well. Then, after the 3 breaths, we would bring our thumbs together at the 3rd eye point and ever so slowly go down the midline of the body, delectably tracing the contours of your front body. And you'll come into contact with all kinds of curiosities like heat, coldness, very, very delicate skin, strong muscular skin, up and over like a mountain range, a terrain we are traversing, past your favorite places in the body, your not so favorite places in the body. Once you get to the midline, you'll probably start to feel the invisible fingers of gravity sinking your arms all the way down to your lap, to your crossed legs, and then really feeling the sinking, the depth, the anchor, the solidity. From that place, you would send a very light, curious question, asking deeply within the body if there are any regions, any places that are experiencing some kind of trouble. It could be aches and pains. It could be just a feeling of an upset tummy, slight headache, sore throat. It could also be just like an internal weathery feeling of just not quite right, or just not quite here. And then those fragranced hands will very slowly, like a pilgrim, make their way to that part of the body that cried out. The quality of touch is deeply present, mapping, fitting perfectly the shape of that body and allowing the hands to respond accurately to the quality of touch that is desperately being called for. You might be caressing. You might be compressing. You might be holding. You might be carrying. You might be soothing. You might be spiraling. The rest of the body is most likely waiting patiently to also join with this kaleidoscope of touch, awareness, breath, perhaps movement coming in through the spine, some slow reflexes or spirals, dropping of the head perhaps, opening of the chest. So we have movement, we have touch, we have breath, we have awareness. We can also bring in the most comforting, slowly spoken dialogue or sound, internal or expressed externally. Your body, like I've just done 1 nanosecond ago, will make some kind of signal that it has received. Mine is usually a surprising inhale that just comes out of nowhere. And that tells me it is done. It has been received. It's been taken in deeply. The nervous system gave a signal that the delivery was received. With somatic work, the person is only ever interested in half a step more open, half a step more allowing, half a step more at peace. A simple practice like this, just before bed or just before the day begins, goes a very, very, very long way. You combine this with some exquisite music, and there will not be any dry eyes. So I would call that a self-comforting practice, a self-touching practice, a self-loving practice, self-regulating, absolutely. Yeah.
You answered my questions because I was going to ask you what time of the day to do it, but because I could imagine after a long day, it would be amazing. And before starting your day, because it's bringing you into presence and connection and into your body, isn't it?
Yes.
That was beautiful. My hands went straight to my womb space, and you had said your body will give you a sign when it's done.
Yeah.
My body started rocking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was beautiful. Thank
Mm.
you. And very fast to do. It takes 5 minutes.
Oh, it's like a duck to water.
Yeah.
All these methods, we know them already. We've just been distracted away from them.
Yeah. It's bringing us back into remembrance, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes. Yes.
And that's what the rose does.
Yes.
And the body remembers.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
all connected, all connected.
Yeah. I
Mm.
remember back in the day, in the 90s, when I was beginning the spiritual practice, I'd come across teachers and books that said that which you're looking for is so close. It's right underneath your nose. And I'm like, what? Thinking it was enlightenment. It's embodiment. That's what they mean. It's so close. It's because we're in it and it's right under your nose. Or the body.
Yes, down and in. I
Yeah,
love that. Just right under your nose, the body.
yeah, yeah.
The great way to remember.
Yes.
Oh,
What am I looking
that's
for? It's right
beautiful.
under my nose. Yes, hello.
You are. Oh,
Uh,
beautiful, beautiful.
Spoken, deeply restful. So whilst you're receiving all this wondrous, imaginative teachings, your nervous system is dropping, 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 dropping right down into pure rest.
Oh, wonderful. And I encourage everyone to go to the link under this video and to download that. And I can absolutely say that Aletheia's transmissions are just so healing and so remembering. And yes, not to be missed, not to be missed.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thanks, Denise.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I have one question I'm asking all my speakers, and
Mm.
that is, now that you know what you know, what would you tell your younger self?
I would say my little sweet Julie, because that's my birth name. My little sweet Julie, you are going to climb a couple of mountains as you live your life. But by golly, you have got some great invisible companions. Not all of them are human, but just know one thing, they never leave your side. And you, my little lady, you are victorious.
How beautiful. How beautiful. Thank you for that.
Mm.
So, Alethea, where can people find you? There's obviously Le Conte that's
Yeah.
open, and you welcome people there and to explore the land of the Cathars, which we actually never spoke about. The Cathars linked to the rose another time. And have you any upcoming courses or retreats? And I know you do transmissions most Sunday evenings, don't you? As well.
Yes, I do a couple a month, usually on the new and full moons.
Well,
Got a course coming up in the late summer with the shift called The Way of Water. So, water rites and ceremonies. And I'm just always here. I'm actually every single day, I am in the French Pyrenees, just available, just ready, waiting for you to come.
oh, I hope to get there one day. I hope to
Oh,
get there
me
one
too.
day and
Me
see
too.
you in person.
Easy, very easy. Ryanair,
I
Cork,
know.
Carcassonne, easy peasy.
There we go. We get it in the diary. Again, listen, thank you for guiding us through the rose, through this journey of remembrance and presence. And thank you for all the wonderful work you do in the world and for your beautiful, beautiful transmissions. So thank you. And to all those ladies watching, thank you. And I will see you in the next conversation.